Joining us now from Orlando, Geraldo, who obviously is way out in front in this case. Are you as angry as I am tonight? We've known each other a long time. We've covered a lot of this kind of stuff. I am so angry about this verdict. Are you?
I can see that, and I see the seething, and I think that you accurately, Bill, reflect the sentiment, certainly of my wife. I heard from Erica. She said that she was with other mothers at the summer camp, and they were all feeling a sense of disgust. And I totally understand that. But you have to understand that I see this in two ways. I see it as a citizen and as a father. 3 of my 5 children are girls, as you know. I relate to this poor victim, this child. I am absolutely scornful and feel a great sense of disdain for the accused, the former accused, Casey Anthony. I think she clearly lied and did a lot of things here that were absolutely reprehensible, but there's a couple of things that people forget, and that's what I think people have to understand now and be honest with themselves and figure a couple of things out. Number one, there was not one bit of evidence that this mother ever in any way neglected or abused this child.
Casey Anthony trial. Yesterday, a
horrifying day. Horrifying day.
Why?
Well, because the jury was confronted with the scenes of the child's broken remains. We have previously seen the back of the skull, but it was kind of benign. It looked like a giant ostrich egg. Now they turned it around for the benefit of the jury, so they saw the tiny eye sockets. They saw the gaffer tape on the side of the skull. The jaw was still intact because of the tape.
Let me stop you there. Let me stop you there. Okay, let me stop you. How can you stand there and say that in front of millions of people all over the world when a 2-year-old goes missing and the mother doesn't even call 911? You're telling me the mother never neglected the child and she's missing and doesn't call 911? That's neglect, Geraldo.
You are confusing two issues. One is what happened leading up to that awful moment when this child died, by all accounts, on June 16th,
You said there was no evidence
Wait.
You said Casey Anthony, there was no evidence she ever neglected her child, and I'm telling you that's bull. She neglected her child by failing to report the child's disappearance.
That's from June 16th on. That's post-mortem. That's after the child is dead. Whether
you don't know that.
She was
You don't know whether
she was
we don't know when look. The mother has the 2-year-old in the house. The 2-year-old is gone. The mother says nothing and lies about it. Come on, that's neglect.
Jose Baez, the lead attorney of Casey Anthony's defense team. Jose, as you know, we have long believed that your client is somehow, to some degree, responsible for the death of her then 2-year-old child. Now, largely, we base that on the fact that the child was missing for a month and she did not report it.
What if this? What if it's the baby's daddy that you don't know who he is? You don't know
stop
where
with the what
he's
ifs,
from.
Geraldo.
What if
Let's
he
just go with the record.
How the record suggests, that's exactly what I'm trying to say here, Bill. The record is conclusive. This was a good mother.
Well, I have to say this, Caballero, and don't take this wrong, you're a better attorney than your client deserves.
Do I necessarily agree with this verdict? No, I don't. I believe it is much more likely than not that this woman was partially at least responsible, either alone or in concert with others, for the death of that beloved child. You see the videos.
Bull.
You see the
This is so much
shots.
bull. I
You
can't stand it.
You see
a
the
good
child.
mother. How does a good mother? How does a good mother go to a wet body contest when her baby is missing? How does that happen?
Because
a good
maybe
mother?
her
Come
brain
on.
is so distorted by years of abuse she can't think
stop
straight.
The host of Judge Alex, he's been watching this case daily for us. So many unanswered questions here, Judge, because especially in the jury's mind, they were never given any explanation about how Casey Anthony's father or brother sexually abused her, allegedly.
Absolutely, and I said from day one, Casey has got to take the stand in order to advance this defense. There's nobody else who could testify to the accidental drowning because it was denied by the father. There's nobody else who could testify to the sexual abuse because that was denied by the father as well and was never asked of the brother. So she had to in order to advance the defense. She's choosing not to, which is going to make it very interesting in closing argument because the prosecution is basically going to cram that right down their throat. Typically, the prosecution cannot comment on the failure of the defense to present any evidence. However, when the defense opens the door by promising certain evidence in opening statement, the prosecution can respond, and we can expect that from Ashton later on.
Maybe she's mentally ill. Maybe she's psychotic.
Maybe.
Who knows? But that is not the crime of murder.
You can't say that she's a good mother or she wasn't neglectful, and you are. You can't say it.
If Casey Anthony had gone to church every day after June 16th and was a spiritual person in the way quintuple murderess Andrea Yates was a spiritual religious person, you would not be so harsh in your judgment. You would say, well, wait, what happened here? Maybe this religious woman who's clearly grief-stricken was victimized in some way we don't understand. But because of her, in her own attorney's words, her sluttiness, we're judging. She's guilty then.
I don't care about that. It's inappropriate behavior. That's what it is. Look, and I didn't come to the conclusion.
Is not murder. That's not child murder. Yeah. Do I necessarily agree with this verdict? No, I don't. I believe it is much more likely than not that this woman was partially at least responsible, either alone or in concert with others, for the death of that beloved child.
And you're right about that. I didn't come to my conclusion that she is guilty of killing her daughter based on that. I came to the conclusion from the forensics. Chloroform in the car. Do you have chloroform in your car, Geraldo? Do you have chloroform in your car?
The fantasy of forensics in Jose Baez.
Is that real or not? Was there chloroform in the car or not?
No DNA.
No, was there chloroform in the car
any statements
or not?
There are inconsistent experts, dueling experts on that very point.
Kelly, there's now virtual certainty that the skeletal remains found yesterday are those of the missing toddler, Kaylee Anthony. I submit that the veteran homicide investigators who came to the scene knew in minutes nowadays we've gotten so used to DNA and all of the science of it, and we want to be extremely prudent about, making a call like that because it is so traumatic. But I'm convinced that it is Kaylee. I think everybody involved in the case is virtually certain. There was every indication yesterday.
It is also clear that she was, in the minds of the cops, a suspect in her daughter's disappearance, if not murder. The officer speaking about the child we know is already underground or in a dumpster someplace. Right. And I think that if things had been done properly, that would be enough icing on the prosecution cake. It would be enough to sentence her at least a guilty murder rap, if not a capital murder.
I don't think there is any
computer search.
Not for what I said.
Were there 84 computer searches for chloroform, or was there only one that lasted for 3 minutes? I submit it was only one search. The authorities proved beyond.
Then you had the mom with the chloroform, and I came home and I did the search. Very exculpatory, very pro-defense.
Cindy Anthony lied.
She lied about researching the chloroform.
Yeah,
was the jury aware of that she lied?
Well, the jury was aware because the prosecution called a witness to impeach her credibility and said there weren't searches for chlorophyll.
Here I am. Under reasonable doubt, there was chloroform residue in the car.
They did not. They clearly did not. In that case,
then you don't want to believe it. I believe the jury didn't want to believe it. It's almost like the O.J. Simpson thing. They didn't want to believe it. I'll give it a last word.
I think, however hurtful it is to every parent out there, this is the judgment 12 men and women presented to us based on the evidence as they heard it in a court of law.
Well, the prosecution, Martha, as you have so accurately described, has mounted a very, very powerful case against this defendant. I think Casey Anthony literally is in the fight for her life now.
I want to talk to them.
They have rendered their judgment.
Okay.
Now, Kaylee Marie, we should remember her and sanctify her memory. But that is.
But she didn't get justice, Geraldo. She's an American citizen, 2 years old, didn't get justice.
Justice and retribution are different.
I'd like to talk to the jury members.
Justice and revenge are different. Well, we shall, I'm sure.
All right.
Geraldo, what Jose Baez, the defense attorney, say to you at lunch today?
He said he wanted the chicken Caesar. No, I'm just kidding. And I'm sorry to do it in this macabre context. Except, and Jose Baez, look at this guy, this embattled attorney who has impoverished himself for the last 3 years and endured the slings and arrows of a mass media pointed his way, schmuck, incompetent, rookie.
Absolutely.
How dare he
I
take
couldn't
this
agree
case?
more.
And now guess what? Guess what? He is the triumph of the century.
Let me just say, I wasn't going to ask you this, but I wonder, because I consider you a friend and a professional, I wonder if you fear that you're going to be tarred with the unpopularity of your client in the way that Johnny Cochran was and the rest of the Dream Team who got O.J. Simpson off on the murder rap 13 years ago.